DCB Sunday meeting. Here we are live.
Okay, and we.
Now I see you. Yay!
Good morning, everybody. Can you see me?
Yes.
I hope you can see me. We are broadcasting live
Meeting.
from
Here we are live.
Community Church of Boston. And it's a very special morning because we are approaching the end of Lent and the beginning of Holy Week. Semana Santa is what they call it in Spain and Central America. And I just call your attention to this just phenomenal Pietà. Pietà, it's Mary with Jesus off the cross. However, Mary, you will notice, has a hijab, and Jesus is wearing a keffiyeh. And that is just the most striking message for me, painted by Katie Miranda Elali, who lives in California, who I just made contact with, just a wonderful jeweler and painter. And we will have a real copy of that in the church next week. And we will also have a sandwich board version of it on the street on Good Friday, when we have this very special thing going on. Louis Randa of the Peace Abbey always comes up with the most phenomenal spiritual and moving ideas. Louis had a huge monument built in memory of those lost to global pandemics. And he is moving it around the city of Boston. It's now in a church in Cambridge, and on opening day at Fenway Park, it'll be there. And then it'll move to Heinz Auditorium, where there's now a massive vaccination site. And then it'll move to Community Church of Boston, where at 4 p.m. on Friday, April 2nd, we will have a ceremony. And if you are able to come, sort of to bring back the idea of us coming together physically, it's time. We're getting vaccinated slowly, and we are thinking about that real seriously. Come at 4 p.m. and it'll be parked. It's a huge kind of like a caisson, is that what you call it? And it's human powered. It's pulled by a bunch of people who roll it from place to place. And it'll be parked. I hope it doesn't get a ticket. I don't think it even has a license, but it'll be parked in front of the church, and we're going to do a ceremony. We're going to sing, and we're going to pray, and we're going to leave mementos of our dear lost ones. Welcome to Community Church of Boston, everybody. This morning we celebrate two phenomenal, remarkable, radical New England activists. And the first one is both an activist, and I have a photo I'm going to show you later about this particular activist being put in the back of a police wagon. And she's also a phenomenal singer and song leader. And we're going to start this wonderful morning with a song from Joyce Katzberg. We're so glad you're with us, Joyce.
Oh, thank you, Dean, and thank you also to Charlie.
Here's your song on the YouTube.
One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping all our shores, on earth so green and round, who could ask for more? And because I love you, I'll give it one more try to show my rainbow rays. It's too soon to die. Sing it with me. One blue sky. One blue sky above us. One ocean lapping all our shores. One earth so green and round. Who could ask for more? And because I love you, I'll give it one try to show my rainbow rays. It's too soon to die. Some people live like an ostrich and they bury their heads in the sand. Some think that plastic dreams can unclench all those greedy hands. Some wanna take the easy way, poisons, bombs, they think we need 'em. But don't you know you can't kill all the unbelievers? There's no shortcut to freedom. One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping all our shores, one earth so green and round. Who could ask for more? And because I love you, I'll give it one more try to show my rainbow rays. It's too soon to die. Go tell all the children, tell all of their families too. Now is the time for us to learn to share what's been given to me and you. One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping all our shores, one earth so green and round. Who could ask for more? And because I love you, I'll give it one more try to show my rainbow rays. It's too soon to die. One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping all our shores, and one earth so green and round. Who could ask for more? One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping all our shores, and one earth so green and round. Who could ask for more?
That was great hearing people singing in the harmonies. Thank you.
Dean, you're still muted.
Okay, I am?
No, Dean is.
Hey, Dean. I don't know what to do here. Did I start talking?
I'm not sure he can hear. Dean,
And who am I speaking with now?
this is Charlie.
Hi, Charlie. Nice to meet you.
I'm rapidly trying to get Dean's attention.
Okay.
No, put the arm down. Put the fingers
Am
down.
I muted?
Down.
Hi,
Can you
Dean.
hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Start
Yeah,
over.
we can hear you
I
now.
hear somebody's radio.
We can hear you now.
So we got to mute everybody and we got to get Dean back. Okay. There we go. I still hear a radio. What is that? Oh, I know what it is. It went to the next YouTube. There we go. I'm sorry. Here's how we like to start our meeting. And I'd like to invite everybody to light this candle yourself if there's somebody on a future Sunday that you would like to remember. But this is one I'd like to take because it's about our former minister. Reverend Bill Alberts is gone from us. And this is somebody who really made a mark on our congregation and our church. He held forth as minister for 10 years, from around 1979 to around 1989. I want to just tell you about the reason that we hired him. In 1974, Bill Alberts was fired and defrocked from a Methodist church called Old West Church right here in Boston for performing a same-sex wedding, for marrying two men. He was way ahead of his time, and to us, that was a badge of honor, and we hired him. And he had a really very prolific and productive long run here. He was very eloquent. You can find his writings in our archive in a very voluminous way. You can also find his writings. I've got a couple of his books here. One is called The Minister Who Could Not Be Prayed Away. And there's a picture of Bill Alberts of blessed memory. And this book is about his lawsuit with the Methodist Church and with his psychiatrist, who divulged a bunch of things that are attorney or their psychiatrist client privilege. And it was a long, drawn out lawsuit that went all the way to the Supreme Court, and he won. The Minister Who Could Not Be Prayed Away. There's another one that's called A Hospital Chaplain at the Crossroads of Humanity. After Bill was minister at Community Church, he was the chaplain at Boston Medical Center for a couple of decades. And this is just a really moving book about the role of a chaplain giving comfort to very vulnerable people and people who are their families. There's also another book in our library. I couldn't find it for this morning, but it's a compilation this thick of his articles in Counterpunch magazine. Counterpunch, you go there and you just put in William Alberts and you'll find just an incredible wealth of articles. We also have some of them on our own website, communitychurchofboston.org. So we send our condolences to Eva, Bill's wife, to Amy, his daughter, and their two grandkids and son-in-law. There will be a memorial of some sort, probably a physical one. They'll probably wait till they can have it in some physical place. But this is a remarkable man who was just an incredible source of help and comfort for some of us when we were going through a lot of troubles back at Community Church 2013 and 2014. So Bill Alberts presente is how we say it in Latino America. I've been doing something the mornings that I facilitate this meeting, and I say that to remind everybody that I'm just a member of this church. I don't claim to have this pulpit. I have been doing all these Zooms, but I'm looking for other people who are interested in doing exactly this. Basically, it's about running the meeting, opening it with a lighting of a candle, having some readings, having some observations, some announcements, some music. Yeah. I want to show you some books that came in this week. There's a 3-volume set, Mumia Abu Jamal, Murder Incorporated, Empire, Genocide, Manifest Destiny, Mumia Jamal and Stephen Vittoria. This is from the publisher Prison Radio. They're here if you're interested in checking them out. 3 volumes worth, and I've just done a little bit of skimming, and this is a man who spent 45 years in prison and who is only allowed 7 books in his cell at one time when he has written more than that many books himself. Mumia, who won our Sakwan Vanzetti Award in the year 2006. Mumia Abu Jamal, and we have made contact with the folks from Prison Radio, and we're hoping to have somebody live give us an update on his situation. His state of health is not good, and the cry is free Mumia Abu Jamal. I also want to show you, by way of telling you that a new newsletter is coming out for the rest of our season, which goes all the way into June. We got one of the books written by one of the authors. This is called the Monsanto Papers, Carrie Gillum. She is going to join us on Earth Day near the third week of April. This is a book about a man named Lee Johnson, who is about 45 years old, who about 10 years ago, after lots of work with Roundup, in his job as a custodian at a high school, got Hodgkin's lymphoma, sued Monsanto, won a huge settlement. It was an enormous victory, and it's still obviously in appeals, and Monsanto is doing everything to cut down the settlement and to appeal and reappeal, and it'll go on for a long time. But it's an enormous victory. Roundup is an evil thing, in my humble opinion, and hopefully in yours. And I finished my little book tour with the lovely readings that I've been doing. This is Eduardo Galeano, Children of the Days, a calendar of human history. Eduardo Galeano from Uruguay, who writes very much in this style. He's written a whole history of the Americas in 2 or 3 paragraph vignettes like this. That history of the Americas, it's called Memory of Fire, 3 volumes worth that I spent a whole summer reading in both languages, beautifully translated by Cedric Belfridge, who was a speaker at this pulpit back in the 50s. Anyway, I'll read, I haven't read this yet. Here's what it says. March 27th, World Theater Day. In the year 2010, the public relations firm Murray Hill Incorporated told the politicians who claimed to govern to stop play acting. A short while before, the United States Supreme Court had removed all limits on corporate donations to electoral campaigns. For a much longer while, the bribes legislators received from lobbyists had been legal. Applying the same logic, Murray Hill Incorporated launched its own candidacy for the US Congress in the state of Maryland. It was high time to do away with intermediaries. Quote, "This is our democracy. We bought it. We paid for it. Now it's time we got behind the wheel ourselves. Vote Murray Hill Incorporated for the best democracy money can buy." End quote. Many people thought this was a joke. Eduardo Galeano, Children of the Days. I want to just go scrolling through everybody here and just say hello to everybody. And when I'm finished with everybody, maybe we can unmute and say hello to each other. Michael Guerin joins us from Crested Butte. Hi, Michael. It's so good to see you with us. Longtime friend of both John and mine, has traveled with us to El Salvador a number of times back in the 90s. Jim Casteras joins us from southern New Hampshire. Hi, Jim. Joyce Katzberg joins us from Warren, Rhode Island. Kevin Devine from down in Braintree, or as I call it in Spanish, Árbol de Cerebros. Braintree, get it? They grow brain trees down there. Marilyn, it's so good to see you. Oh yeah. And Russ, I don't know you, but hello, Russ, and the other person, companion who's with you, welcome. And there's Hillary Sinclair. Hello, Hillary. And oh, Hillary is watching on her phone right behind us. You know, I take this occasion to mention that we are joined by Barry and Hillary. There's Hillary and there's Barry. Both vaccinated and both feeling safe enough, me too, I got the Johnson & Johnson, to start to slowly slouch back to our beautiful auditorium. And that's a mixed blessing. The good part of that blessing is that we will be together again. Someday we'll be together, says the Supremes. And we'll start getting together in this building. Hopefully we won't end the broadcast portion of what we're doing here, because that is obviously so fruitful. It gets us people from New Zealand, where David Ludlow frequently joins us. It gets us people from Chile, where Sergio Reyes maybe joins us. We had musicians from Switzerland, Matt Callahan and his wife. So we go on with the list. Here's Lil, hello, hi, and Ken Casanova, Jose Aleman. All right, I just bought 20 tamales from Jose Aleman. He is doing a fundraiser with other members of the FMLN party in East Boston and Chelsea, and they were delicious. We enjoyed them in our family, still have a few left. We have Dinah Starr, hello Dinah. And we have Homer Frank. Hi, Homer. And we have Susan. Hello, Susan. And Diana Lopez. And here we are back with here. And we have Mary Lynn Kramer, and YH Pat, who joins us from down south somewhere, if I'm not mistaken. And Carolyn Poinelli, who's also here in the building, over on another computer. And we have Lenny Shames, who joins us by phone from Brunswick, Maine. Let's see. I think that's everybody. No, we have Alan Clemens joins us from way up north Maine. I forget the name of the town, but welcome everybody. It's a beautiful congregation and assemblage and meeting that we have here. I wanted to just tell about a few more programs coming up. I don't have the list in front of me, but the newsletter will come out this next week, and it has programs all through April and May and into June. And the ones that I can recite to you. Next week, Professor Richard Wolff from UMass Amherst, and his organization is called Democracy at Work. And he studies capitalism and capital and socialism. And he's all over the internet, and you can find him, Richard Wolff, W-O-L-F-F, if you want a little preview. It's really an honor that he will be speaking to us. Later in April is Carrie Gillum talking about Monsanto. The other ones that I think of coming up is a woman named Katie Martin, who's speaking about food insecurity in this country. Her book is called Rethinking Food Pantries and Food Banks. We also have another Central America program. It's 4 members of the podcast Central America News. And these are 4 young journalists from 4 different countries who will join us. It's really a wonderful way to bring together all of the news of Central America, and I listen to it religiously, regularly. Central America News. And there's other programs. There's a program, we used to have one pretty much every first Sunday in June about the Rosenbergs, commemorating the Julius and Ethel Rosenberg and their assassination or execution in 1953. And this will be the Rosenberg's granddaughter, who's named Jen Mirapol, who will join us and talk about their effort to absolve Ethel Rosenberg, grandmother. So lots of great stuff and tons of great music too. My favorite thing about being here is finding wonderful players and activists, and Joyce Katzberg is no exception. We're going to hear another song from Joyce. If I can share the screen and in a not very asinine way, find the YouTube I'm trying to play. There we go. Is it? believe it's that one. Share the, no, 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 I'm sorry. It's very. Here we go. Joyce, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. No, that's the wrong one.
How about if I sing something live?
Let's just play it. I love this song.
I dreamed the world had all agreed to put an end to war. I dreamed I saw a mighty room, and it was filled with women and men, and the paper they were citing said that they'd never fight again. And when the paper was all signed and a million copies were made, they all joined hands and bowed their heads, and grateful prayers were prayed. And the people in the streets below, well, they were dancing round and round, while guns and swords and uniforms lay scattered on the ground. Last night I had the strangest dream I never dreamed before. I dreamed the world had all agreed to put an end to war. I dreamed the world had all agreed to put an end to war.
I keep forgetting to unmute. I'm so sorry. I was saying that I had a little competition with John Bach this morning. We're trying to see who outdresses the other. I believe he won, but he believes I won, or vice versa. Who knows which?
I surrender and sue for peace.
But we have Joyce Katzberg, not on YouTube, but in the flesh over the phone. And she has the pleasure and whatever else, maybe the comedic value of introducing John Bach. I will tell you that I've known John for 30 years now. Well, 28. I started traveling to El Salvador in 1991, and he came with me in 93. And we together started construction with a few other folks on the delegation of what was then to be a school. That building is now complete. It's no longer a school. And at the end, I'm going to, when I can find it, show the latest photograph of the completed building 30 years later that's needed to be refurbished once recently. And it looks just beautiful, recently painted. And I was just looking through the attic trying to find a picture of that flat area that had just the rectangle built that was going to be the foundation for that schoolhouse. Anyway, that's what I want to tell you about John. Just that he's a remarkable activist, and he's helped us here at Community Church through some bizarre moments. And it's been a pleasure knowing John. And I want to introduce you to Joyce Katzberg, who is going to give you a few words about John Bach, our speaker this morning.
Well, hello, everybody over there. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of this esteemed gathering of resistors, brothers and sisters, especially John. Really excited to be part of this program. And thank you, Dean and Charlie and all of the community Church of Boston people, and also offering condolences on the passing of Bill Alberts and hoping all who loved him are comforted. There's a lot you can say about John Bach. You know, I'm sure that there are an awful lot of people who would talk about his time in prison and resisting Vietnam and as a young person and writing and or maybe fundraising to get a whole lot of American cash to smuggle down to El Salvador to help people escape from death squads, or maybe helping the plowshares to figure out how to get into a place or out of a place, or how to support them while they're in prison. There's all kinds of things that we could be really grateful to John for, his chaplaincy at Harvard, or the many times he's taught nonviolence trainings. Actually, my favorite one was the one where he was driving there and saw the sign advertising the workshop as being nonviolence training, learn how to fight the man. And I knew that John was going to have his work cut out for him there when it came to talking about the satyagraha aspects of nonviolence training. But really, all of those things that other people might be remembering or feeling gratitude for John about, and all of those gratitudes are certainly deserved. But me personally, I have a very personal gratitude for John Bach. And that goes to the fact that there are a lot of folks who were called, but not everybody's going to show up with buckets of paint and many paintbrushes and a good pal and Kevin Jones and come and fix your floors, fix your walls, and make sure your ceiling doesn't fall in on you. And because of John Bach and Kevin Jones, I live in a far more secure house. And as a disabled elderly person, I got to say that feels real good. So yeah, there's a lot of folks who might be able to sing if I had a hammer, but there's other folks who live it. And so John, I am grateful to you every single day. This song is for the young man that you were when you were brave enough to turn down your student status to stand in solidarity with the other people who were saying no to the carnage that was called the Vietnam conflict. But this song was written for the marchers that tried to stop the most recent invasion of Iraq in 2003. It's called Not Another Mother's Son and Not Another Father's Daughter. It was early in the morning when the sound of people marching broke my slumber, and dreaming with this song they were singing. Not another mother's son, not another father's daughter, in the name of all that's holy, put an end to all this slaughter. Not another mother's son, not another father's daughter. Before my eyes and in my ears, the images and pleadings of those who've seen the horror of the human family bleeding. They were marching one by one, but together they were millions from the hills, from the valleys, and this song they were singing. Not another mother's son, not another father's daughter, in the name of all that's holy, put an end to all this slaughter. Not another mother's son, not another father's daughter. Some were old, some were older, some wore gold and some wore rags, some with babies, some with banners, many nations, many flags. All the colors of the rainbow were reflected on their faces. In unison and harmony, they kept on singing. Not another mother's son, not another father's daughter. In the name of all that's holy, put an end to all this slaughter. Not another mother's son, not another father's daughter. It was early in the morning when the sound of people marching broke my slumber, and dreaming with this song they were singing. This march goes on and on with no end and no beginning, for an end to endless war. Join the song that we are singing. Not another mother's son, not another father's daughter. In the name of all that's holy, put an end to all this slaughter. Not another mother's son, and not another father's daughter. And that's my prayer for today. And for this gathering, as I choke here, that we all continue this march on and on and on until our footsteps become part of the road that others are marching on, and that we continue to support their songs forever and ever. John, thank you for supporting mine.
Is that my cue?
Take it away, John.
Okay. Good morning, friends and family, and many thanks for your warm welcome and introduction. Oh, dear Joyce, the miles we have traveled, eh?
Hey.
This Quaker sojourner is much honored to be in your midst, and I declare myself a usual suspect, fellow traveler, and co-conspirator with the Community Church of Boston in many a worthy and noble cause. I am aware of the honorable history of this church extending back 100 years. The Community Church of Boston came to me long before I came here for the first time in the person of Dean Stevens, who remains a very close friend and a source of inspiration, even without the sartorial splendor. Dean said that I could have 20 or 25 minutes as long as I promised not to be too boring, so I'll do my best.
You can have as much time as you want, John.
An 18th century observer of Quakers called them happy, content, and always in trouble. So I am indeed happy and content this morning, and I should hope not so much in trouble 20 minutes from now. We'll see. Our topic this morning is peacemaking and jailbreaks, liberation in captivity. Having spent 3 years in the federal prison system during the American War in Vietnam, I presume to know whereof I speak. So may we begin with a reading from the book of Psalms. This is number 126, which deals with the apparent paradox of liberation in captivity. When the Spirit turned against the captivity of Zion, we were like them who dream. Then was our mouth filled with laughter and our tongue with singing. Then said they among the heathen, the Spirit hath done great things for them. The Spirit hath done great things for us, whereof we are glad. Turn against our captivity, O Spirit, as the streams in the south. They that sow in tears shall reap in joy. They that goeth forth and weep, bearing precious seed, shall doubtless come again with rejoicing, bringing their sheaves with them. At the very end of this talk, I am going to recite a modern day contemporary retelling of this same psalm. Well, there is no longer much of a prophetic vocation in proclaiming that we find ourselves in a handbasket with certain knowledge of where we're headed. For one thing, we're facing the 6th major extinction. The last one, 65 million years ago, did end the dinosaurs when a 6-mile wide meteor hit the Earth. This time we're doing it to ourselves as we enter a brand new geological epoch, the Anthropocene, marked by extreme negative human impact on the environment. We're poisoning ourselves to death and extinction, and our Mother Earth as well. Nor is there much prophetic vocation in proclaiming the failure of most of our institutions to meet human need amid a perpetual war economy, culture, and mentality, with plans to develop 3 more generations of nuclear weapons at over $1 trillion. The Union of Atomic Scientists has reset its doomsday clock at 100 seconds before midnight, the closest we've been to Armageddon since the early 1980s. Meanwhile, many of our own kids go to bed hungry, to say nothing of the rest of the world's children. Last year, over 6,500 of our vets committed suicide. What does that say? So as always, the question, both abstractly existential and intensely human, is what is to be done? One short, simple answer that answers everything and answers nothing is Gandhi's 3 points of satyagraha, his truth force: pursuit of truth, loving means, and self-sacrifice. And if I could add one more, orientation to our victims. Gandhi was wise enough to instruct us not so much what to do, but how. Yes, things are indeed dire, and if we agree that no one is free until everyone is free, and that a crime against one is a crime against all, what better image for understanding where we are than that of captivity, imprisonment by materialism, militarism, and racism, Dr. King's monstrous triplets, climate destruction, social greed, profits over people, and a slavish devotion to the criminal allocation of resources and wealth. So peacemaking may be understood as the business of jailbreaks, that sense of liberation in captivity. How can this be? We're not without historical precedent. Remember the examples of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fiery furnace, or Daniel in the lion's den, or the resurrection of Jesus of Nazareth, however you understand it, or the Elizabethan martyrs from my own tradition, who went to the gallows, it was said, as though going to a picnic, or the Vietnamese Buddhists and their realization of purification through suffering, or the 2 major 20th century French philosophers who both worked in the resistance during World War II. We were never so free, they said, as during the occupation. Or Dr. King's letter from the Birmingham jail, or my own experience of 3 of the freest years of my life as the 3 years I spent in federal prison, and an even greater sense of liberation in solitary confinement. Thinking of Hamlet, who said that he could be bound in a nutshell and still count himself king of infinite space. Or the 2 generations of plowshare activists who have spent and are currently spending years in prison for enfleshing Isaiah's admonition to beat swords into plowshares. 5 of my friends are there right now. For the next few minutes, I suggest we stay away from the lofty abstractions and noble statements. Instead, why not bring a metaphor and a story to the discussion? Examples from the more intense facets of what has been called life in extremis, war and imprisonment. Surely, if there are any signs of hope within these 2 hellish realms, there may be hope for the rest of us too. In order to explain the task they saw set before them during the American war in Vietnam. The Vietnamese used to say it was their job to use the Vietnamese egg to break the American rock. What they had to do, they'd patiently explain, was to keep chipping away. They'd pause and then say, chip, chip, chip. Well, how preposterous. Any child knows you can't use an egg to break a rock, the rock virtually indestructible, and the egg virtually destructible by anything. Yet consider how wonderful and telling the symbols are. The rock, gray, inert, lifeless, humorless, incapable of growth or movement, a prisoner of its own mass and dead weight, able only to crush. And the egg, surely one of the most fragile things in the universe, extremely vulnerable to attack without defense, yet filled with potential and creativity, ready to explode with color and warmth, alive and pulsating, to eat, breathe, excrete, fertilize, communicate, nourish others, and live in balance with nature. Throughout Vietnamese history, that fragile little egg succeeded in breaking one huge rock after another. Hundreds of years against the Chinese, chip, chip, chip. A generation against the Japanese, chip, chip, chip. 8 brutal years against the French, chip, chip, chip. And 15 savage years against the mightiest empire the world has ever had to endure, chip, chip, chip. Napalm, Agent Orange, saturation bombings, targeting of hospitals, schools, and orphanages, anti-personnel weapons, strategic hamlets, bombing of dams and dikes, gang rape by occupying forces, the threat of nuclear weapons, chip, chip, chip. The egg triumphed because it never stopped and never stopped growing. It remained constant and diligent. Its support ran miles wide and just as deep. And in this, there is a lesson for those of us who aspire to universal justice and enduring peace, or to precipitate major change in our own lives. That none of us will live to see the end of our struggle. That we must live faithfully to our ideals and not be seduced by legislative or electoral sideshows or quick fixes or shortcuts, or the multitude of seductions our culture offers those of us in privileged positions. That peace and justice and honest lives will come only by our own hands and hearts, and not as a gift from someone else. The difference, of course, between our two settings and struggles is that for the Vietnamese, there is either victory or submission, the egg or death, liberation or captivity. And for us, there is no such imperative or urgency, and our culture provides us with no lack of excuse or diversion. We who embrace spirituality and peace testimonies, who endeavor to put our vision into practice, certainly will not see the realization of justice that is universal, nor peace that is enduring, or the perfection of our own wounded, selfish egos. After all, if we are asking questions to which there are immediate answers, we're not asking big enough questions. If we set about to accomplish tasks that are within our reach, we ought to set our sights a little higher, at least for some tasks. And truth be told, it does not look wonderfully optimistic at the moment, but when has it ever? But in the struggle, neither will there be submission, and the light will not be extinguished. And therein lies the victory. In the struggle, in the constant chipping away of that which demeans life and renders us incomplete. The egg will not crack, will in fact grow stronger with use, propagate itself, and continue to function and inspire. For all of its fragility, what magnificent potential, this egg, our lives, our struggle. So the last breath is never extinguished by the imperial cross or colonial lash. The witness is not silenced by the executioner's bullet, the hangman's noose, the racist's axe handle, the assassin's blade, however starch their collars or clean their fingernails. Savage. Nor by governmental lies, media neglect, and the process by which the powers and principalities filter all great movements by ignoring them, ridiculing them, violently opposing them, and then finally accepting them as self-evident after a great deal of struggle and sacrifice. Have political or spiritual persecutions and assassinations or imprisonments ever silenced the messenger by killing or imprisoning the messenger in matters of social justice, humanism, or faith, those powerful ideas whose time has come, those who keep chipping away? The list is joyfully long. Socrates, Jesus of Nazareth, George Fox, Mary Dyer, Baha'u'llah, Joe Hill, Mother Jones, Sacco and Vanzetti, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, Salvador Allende, Victor Jara, Oscar Romero, Fred Hampton, Daniel and Philip Berrigan, and Father Olafsson. Wait, who was that last one? Father Placid Karoly Olafsson, about whom I learned thanks to a friend who quite accidentally and serendipitously met him. A 5-minute shift in time, and they never would have met, and I wouldn't be telling you about him this morning. Kind of makes you wonder who else is out there that we don't know about. When my friend met him, Father Olafsson was in his 80s, small, wiry, a human dynamo, irrepressible, someone you could imprison, even kill, but never repress or silence. He was a Hungarian Catholic priest who was teaching school in Budapest at the end of World War II, and who did not show the requisite enthusiasm for the party line when the Soviets took power. It's what we would call a democracy movement. Accordingly, he was shipped off to a labor camp in Stalin's Gulag. These were not intentional death camps, but conditions killed almost half the prisoners as they were worked to death in brutal, unforgiving environments. He spent 10 years in captivity there. Father Olafsson survived and spoke passionately about his 4 keys to survival, encouraging us through his story to live with courage and hope in whatever circumstances we happen to find ourselves. Here's the jailbreak. Number 1, don't complain. Those of us with kids would translate this as no whining. There is no need to dramatize your suffering. Others have it just as bad as you do. So what are you going to gain by complaining? Complaining sets up a cycle of despair that weakens you and leads to your downfall and those around you. You don't have to look for suffering or its echoes, past or present. It will find you all by itself. So why not accentuate the positive? Number 2, find small joys to celebrate. Early in his imprisonment, Father Olafsson organized his fellow prisoners to end each day in their cold barracks by sharing something for which they were grateful. An extra piece of bread, a letter from home, a pleasant dream, paper to take into the latrine, a guard's smile. They would have contests each night to see who could come up with the longest list of appreciations. Since they didn't have anything to give the winner, they agreed they would sing that person's favorite song or recite a poem, or best of all, tell a joke. The record was held by one man who had 16 items on his list. Number 3, choose to be noble. For those inmates, there was no point in clinging to the myth of their own innocence. There were no rewards given to the innocent. There are the weak and there are the strong. Since the guards had the guns, they were the strong and the prisoners were the weak ones. But even in weakness, one could be noble to increase the peace. One could live decently and with integrity and compassion by serving others and above all, mirroring the goodness of others. One could choose to live honorably by forming and bolstering community. And number 4, cling to your source of strength. For Father Olafsson, his strength was his faith. His strength was his faith and conducting mass, using whatever materials he could scrounge up for bread and wine. I ask you to meditate on what your source of strength is: your faith, your orientation to social and personal improvement, your identity and self-respect, love of your family, the images of malnourished children, especially those under bombardment. It was those photographs from Vietnam that sent me to prison, and once there kept me very strong. Father Olafsson left us with a final story about the gift of laughter, even in the midst of a terrible ordeal. As he said, God has a great sense of humor and a sense of irony. It seems that the commander of the camp was something of a thief. One day a train stopped at the camp, and the commander had helped himself to a package he found on one of the cars. When he got back to his office, he discovered that it was something he had never seen before. The box contained 2 wooden toilet seats. He had no idea what they were, but that didn't deter him. He called Father Olafsson into his office and instructed him to mount his beautiful new picture frames now surrounding two large portraits of Stalin and Lenin on the wall. Father Olafsson gladly complied with the order and said the men couldn't stop laughing for the rest of the night. The next day, they decided to tell the commander that they had determined what those frames actually were and that he had better take the frames down or things would go badly for everyone. The words are simple, but their meaning is priceless. Don't complain. Celebrate small joys. Choose to be noble and cling to your source of strength. And finally, here's a retelling of today's reading, Psalm 126, by my buddy and fellow jailbird resistor, Father Daniel Berrigan, whose self-chosen epitaph was, "May he never rest in peace." When the Spirit struck us free, we could scarce believe it for very joy. Were we free? Were we wrapped in a dream of freedom? Our mouths filled with laughter, our tongues with pure joy. The oppressors were awestruck. What marvels this Spirit works for them. Like a torrent in flood, our people streamed out. Locks, bars, cages, cuffs, gulags, ghettos, a nightmare scattered. We trod the long furrow, sowing in tears, slaves. A lightning bolt loosed us, and now we tread those same furrows, half drunk with joy, the golden sheaves in our arms. Chip, chip, chip. Thank you.
John Bach, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Just brought up so many things that I hope we'll get a chance to talk about after we hear one last song from Joyce. There's also this thing. I'll tell you that there was a time when there were 30 ushers for Community Church of Boston going all around Symphony Hall and gathering the offering to be able to run the programs. That was maybe on a typical day, there might be 800 people there. It was a pretty amazing thing we had at one time. This is just as amazing. It's one basket, one guy saying virtually, we will pass this basket around among the 25 of us who are on the Zoom and the other 25 who are on the YouTube channel. And we will go to the website, and there's a credit card option, and there's a PayPal option, and there's also our address, which is right there, to which you can send the old time paper checks. That's the way I still do it. I'm kind of old fashioned, but that's my little money pitch. I'm done. And I go on to something much more fun, which is to hear Joyce Katzberg do this last song. And I think I have it all set up, and it's a wonderful cast she has backing her up that includes Bill Harley. It includes our beloved Sally Rogers and Howie Burson. Some kind of event down in Rhode Island. Here it goes.
Paul and Silas, they were bound in jail and had no money for to go there. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on. Oh, Paul and Silas, they began to shout. Oh, the chains fell off and then they walked right out. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, up in the mountains, down by the sea. You know, people all over just wanna be free. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on. Well, I'm all ready now. How about you? Let's build a new world, see you through. Oh, keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on, hold on. You know that every lake bears a prisoner's name. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on. Well, the only chain that we can stand is a chain made hand in hand. Keep your eyes on the prize and hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on. Oh, Pete Seeger, he's dead and gone. He left us here to carry on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on. So stand up proud and sing out loud. Let's make Toshi and Peter proud. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on. 'Cause Paul and Silas, they were bound in jail, and they had no money for to go their bail. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on. Well, Paul and Silas, they began to shout. All the chains fell off, and they walked right out. Keep your eyes on the prize. And hold on, why don't you hold on? Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, why don't you hold on? Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, why don't you hold on? Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize and hold on.
Whew. Whoops. Did I do that again? Hello. You're still here. Going like that and like that. Back. Here we are again. Joyce Katzberg. Just a powerful set of pipes there. I tell you. Thank you, Joyce, and thank you for being with us. This is.
Well, thank you for inviting me and to letting me be part of this great gathering of people. It's been really wonderful just to sit here, even virtually, see your wonderful faces, and it's just wonderful. Thank you so much. And for your work that you do in the church and the work that you're doing all the time, my gratitude always. Thank you.
Well, that's true for everybody here. This is a gang full of just really committed activist folks. And
may I say one thing? I wanted to, I was moved by the story John told about Father Olafsson, and I just thought I'd interject just a little of my own inspiration here. It came from my godmother, whose name was Edeltraud Heinrich. She was a German woman, citizen, just a regular old woman coming home from the market one day. And she had a basket of apples and came across a group of people who were lined up to be put onto a train. and they asked her if they could have something to eat, and she gave an apple out of her basket and was immediately stabbed in the leg with a bayonet from a soldier who told her that if she did it again, she would be on the train too. And her immediate response was to take her basket of apple and throw it into the crowd of people. And she was thrown onto the train, and she did go to a concentration camp, and she did survive it. And I haven't seen her since I was 3 years old, but I'll tell you today, every single day, I remember that simple gesture, that if we act from our instincts, our purest of instincts, feed the people, and stand in solidarity, we can survive, and we will tell the stories. So my godmother, Eiteltraud Einrich, who later became Trudy Wells, presente.
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 Thank you for letting me tell this story. Now it's John's turn.
Well, John, before you respond, I wanted to do my little show and tell. You talked a lot about eggs and the promise of spring, and every spring, I gotta do this.
We got to do what we got to do.
That one, I think, is my most beautiful one. If you could see it for real, it's just, it's from a beach in Maine where we go, and this beach has a propensity for making egg-shaped rocks.
Mm.
There's gazillions of them, and this one I love. It's a brick that was honed into a rock.
Wow, nice.
And this one did not come off the beach. This came from my favorite gathering place, Boomerangs. It's a thrift store, benefits the AIDS Action Committee. And this is a little wood one, little tiny one.
Tip, tip.
That's all. It's just show and tell. Anybody else have a show and tell to tell us about? The floor is open. John, you can respond, or if somebody wants to raise their hand and we can recognize you, or if you want to put a question or an observation in the chat, that would work too. Well, Lil says, thank you all so much for this and the other community events. I loved last week too, Ben Norton on Nicaragua. I live in El Paso, Texas, and appreciate all the good trouble you're espousing and doing. Blessings from a Mary Knoll sister who feels family with you all. Bye for now. Lil, we love you from here. We sure do.
And here's the good trouble. John Lewis Presente.
John Lewis presente.
John Lewis, presente.
Muy presente. Yeah. So I've got a little present for John. These are retellings of the story of Jesus, and of course there's this one that I just told you about that'll be on display in a big sandwich board form. This is a picture of the Pietà, which is the famous Mary taking Jesus down from the cross, but Mary is wearing a hijab, and Jesus has a keffiyeh on in this painting by Katie Miranda El Ali. And this will be displayed at our Good Friday service. While I'm at it, I'm going to show you a picture of Joyce Katzberg getting put in a police wagon. And John Bach tells us that his favorite singing of Joyce Katzberg's is when she's being put in a police wagon. And Joyce, put that in your promo kit.
Well, actually, I think it appears as a kind of a endorsement blurb on the jacket of one of Joyce's CDs.
Oh, it does already. She already thought of that.
And I said, I have been privileged to listen to Joyce in many varied venue. But the best concert I ever heard was to be handcuffed with her in the back of a police van as she sang away.
Good company.
Good company.
Good
So
company.
here's my little present for John Bach. It's a song that he's requested numerous times, and he's the only one who requested it. And I love this song, and John and I are the only ones that think this is weird enough to sing over and over. And it's on the subject.
Tell us who wrote it.
His name is Paranoid Larry. And I don't know whatever became of Paranoid Larry, but he wrote some really cool and really funny, weird songs. He's from Brooklyn, and he used to have a monthly night at a club that was called Otto's Tiny Head. And this one was brought to the world by Maggie Roach of the Roaches. And that's where I heard it. And this is a little story, sort of another retelling of the Jesus story or myth, as Katie Miranda did in that painting. This song is called, and I would put this in the category of songs I will never play for my mom. and there's several of them. It's called Jesus Shaves. Jesus shaves, joins corporate America, gets laid off, grows his beard back, stays up late, sees a TV commercial about being a welder, makes a phone call. Jesus shaves, goes on an interview, does real well. He's got away with people. 2 years on, he's still an apprentice, but not for long. It's graduation. Jesus shaves, puts his best suit on, gets a certificate, makes it official. Now he's a welder, wears a big helmet, twice a week now. Jesus shaves. Blessed are the ones who make peace. Blessed are the ones who scrape by. Blessed are the ones living holy lives. Here's to the rest of us who try. Jesus shaves on Sunday morning, decides to go fishing after going to church. It's winter time, so he walks on water, digs a hole in the ice, and fishes for perch. Jesus shaves the scales off fishes, has a few fillets and a couple of brewskis, thinks about the girl, Magdalena in payroll, decides that he's gonna ask her out for dinner. Jesus shaves for work on Monday, goes to the office, gathers up his courage. He's still not sure just how he's gonna ask her. Walks over to her desk, sees a picture of her boyfriend. Blessed are the ones who make peace. Blessed are the ones who scrape by. Blessed are the ones living holy lives. Here's to the rest of us who try. She says, hello, how are you this morning? He asks if she knows if it'll snow or rain today. She notices him looking at the picture on her desktop. She says it's her cousin who passed away. He says, that's great. She looks at him funny. He says, I didn't mean that. She says, it's okay. And then she smiles and they both start laughing. That's when he knows it's his lucky day. Jesus shaves, smiling in the mirror. Magdalena is saying that they've got to hurry. They'll be late for work and the school bus is coming. Still their daughter likes watching as Jesus shaves. Blessed are the ones who make peace. Blessed are the ones who scrape by. Blessed are the ones living holy lives. Here's to the rest of us who try. I'm trying to live a holy, holy life. Oh, Jesus, Jesus, here's the rest of us who try. Paranoid Larry included, and Joyce Katzberg and John Bach.
Thank you, Dean.
And Dean Stevens.
Yeah. Now,
Joyce,
those
is that weird enough for you?
Oh, I loved it. I loved it, loved it, loved it. Another time, remind me to sing you a song called Jimmy and the Preacher.
Jimmy and the Preacher. I'm writing it down. I can hardly wait to hear it. You can. I'll call you up. You can sing it to me over the phone.
You betcha. That was a great
YH
song.
Pat,
Good pick, John Bach. Good pick.
YH Pat says, I think she's calls from down south somewhere. YH Pat, John Bach, thank you for your talk, especially the examples of the concept liberation in captivity. Recently, some of the yellow finch tree sitters, aka water protectors, wrote about the concept for them. It is not about being imprisoned onwards to greater truths in the face of handcuffs and prison bars. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging, since love is Lord of heaven and earth. How can I, King, keep from singing? I meant to sing in prison chains, and that's the other verse of how can I keep from singing. Hey, Charlie,
We have a question from YouTube.
Question from
Somebody's
YouTube.
asking if John can talk more about his experience in prison, and somebody who's got just identifies themselves as the Agape community. I'm not sure.
Go ahead, John.
Brayton and Suzanne Shanley, my dear friends at Agape. Well, let me tell you about the biggest miracle I've ever seen in my life. You know, it's not changing, although I do like water into wine, is getting a bunch of self-serving convicts to understand that freedom does not have as much to do as to which side of the wall you're on, but rather the extent to which you can live for your brothers in chains, brothers and sisters. And that was truly the miracle, to get guys to go on hunger strikes or work strikes, knowing that their sentences would be increased. That the highest goal was not getting out of prison. It was discovering, nourishing, and sustaining a sense of liberation in captivity, even while you're inside the walls.
When tyrants take me and throw me in prison, my thoughts will break free like blossoms in season. Foundations will crumble, the structures will tumble, and freedom will cry, Digedanken sind frei. And freedom will cry, Digedanken sind frei. A question from Charlie. A declaration from Charlie. All recent CCB recordings are available on the CCB YouTube channel. And I will tell you that we are also in the auditorium taking advantage of the quiet here to have 50 years worth of cassettes all laid out in front of us. And we're putting them in boxes, categorizing them, and trying to find the best ones to first digitize to put out there for your consumption. John, you'll be glad to know that we have a bunch of cassettes from both Daniel and Philip Berrigan. Mm-hmm. There's, it's like I hold these things in my hand, and scribbled in the description on the cassette is Rosa Parks mm-hmm. or Cesar Chavez. It's just like, am I really holding this in my hand? I can hardly wait till we are able to really get a production line of digitizing these wonderful gems from our own history. We already put up two two tapes of W.B. Du Bois. He's on our YouTube channel. Go ahead, Charlie. Unmute. Charlie.
Sorry, I forgot. I don't know if you know the details of it, but it's the over the last couple of years, the American Friends Service Committee has scaled down considerably, and I was wondering if there's any. I'm not familiar with the background of that, other than that I'm sure they're facing money problems. Do you have anything more to add to that?
About the American Friends Service Committee?
Yeah.
Well, no, yeah, it does exist, and you're right, Charlie. The New England programs were cut way back. I think at one time there was one that was 13, and then it went down to 2. It had to do with the bubble in 2008, but yet they still do good work and are still active out of Philadelphia. I can tell an interesting story. In 1947, the American Friends Service Committee was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, and somebody had to go to Stockholm to pick it up. And the protocol called for tuxedos. Well, there are very few Quakers that have tuxedos. There are very few Quakers that have neckties. This was sort of a joke. Luckily, however, the Boston Symphony was just upgrading their tuxedos for their symphony members. And a lot of the tuxedos found their way to the clothing room in the basement of Friends meeting at Cambridge on Longfellow Park. So Henry Cadbury was able to go down there and choose among tuxedos to wear to Stockholm to get the Nobel Peace Prize. I think Thoreau said, beware of any new occupation that requires a new suit of clothing. So in spite of that.
Penguin suits, yeah. Want to invite people to come and look at some of these cassettes. And if I'm trying to find the order in which we're going to start digitizing. We're just figuring out how to do that and put it on YouTube channel. It's a feast. It's a feast that we have here. It includes the likes of Joe Gerson from American Friends Service Committee, who spoke here a number of times all the way back into the 70s. Let's see, is there anything else we want to talk about? Community Church of Boston membership. We have this beautiful old membership book that has people's names. It goes back to the 70s. And in this pandemic time, we haven't been able to get any new signatures in there. If there are folks who are interested in becoming members of Community Church, come down here. You will get a free tour of the entire building. We own a 5-story beautiful building that is in varying states of disrepair and deferred maintenance, but we're very proud of it, and it's a beautiful old thing. We call it our boon and our bane. Let's see, Rudiger has his hand up. Rudiger, join us. Hello, greetings. You're muted. We can't hear you, Rudiger. We still can't hear you. We still can't hear you, Rudiger. Somebody told me that Zoom has a function to be able to have the host unmute people, but I haven't found that yet. Charlie might. It says that you're unmuted, but you're not. We can't hear you. Is it your microphone? I don't know what to say, Rudiger. You want to put something in the chat? Write something in the chat. We'll. No, somebody says host must unmute. The host cannot unmute. No. Anybody else want to join us with a hello or an announcement or a?
I seem to be live whether I want to be or not because I'm trying to be mute over here while I'm coughing. I would like to take a moment, please, to ask this specific group of people to join me in prayer for a resistor brother who was an active duty military. He was in the Army in Vietnam, probably around the same time that the young man John Bach following his conscience. And
I think it's
Bill Bryant is his name.
trying to
And
think.
Bill Bryant,
Precedent to ask.
he was active duty resistor who spent most of his time in the brig, as did so many other who said no, sir, and are documented in the film, Sir, No, Sir. But tonight, my friend Bill Bryant, who I consider the bravest man ever in this small town, in the smallest county, in the smallest state that I happen to live in, Bill Bryant is in hospice on the edge of between here and there, as we're here gathered today. And so I would like to ask this particular group of people with their hearts and their resistance histories, if you could hold Bill Bryant in your prayers as he makes that transition. I thank you for your prayer.
We hold Bill Bryan in our hearts and in our thoughts and prayers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce.
As we hold a lot of other community church members who are not able to physically be with us, like Diane Lerman, like John Mannheim, Marguerite Helen, and others as well. A little piece of news, I spoke to Greg Brown, not the musician Greg Brown, but the wonderful member of this church, Greg Brown. He's about 83 years old, and he doesn't look a day past 50, and is a retired diesel mechanic, worked for the MBTA for a long time, and migrates every year to Trinidad, which is where he's originally from. This year, he didn't get to migrate back to his home in Sharon, Massachusetts, because of COVID, and he spent the year there. But I've been in some communication with Greg, and he sends his greetings. He's a wonderful, literate man, reading all the time and sharing thoughts about things that he's read. I want to just see if Michael Guerin will unmute himself and we can hear his voice and say hi to Michael. Possible? Or you want to stay muted?
Oh, greetings to everyone. It's so wonderful to see you, Dean. Yeah. You're a blessed soul. And John Bach, it's so wonderful to see you. And I saw glimpses of Marilyn as well. It warms my heart to see all of you.
Well, greetings to Sandy and
Thank
to
you.
all of our friends in Crested Butte. That's such an amazing place, and I miss it sorely. And the times that we had together a sister city relationship with the town of Isotalillo.
Yes.
Which is the place from where I import about 1.5 tons of coffee a year now and sell it at farmers markets and at church and friends, neighbors, family events that we host. So it's all y'all's fault, is what I say. Yeah.
Well, Dean, I must say, you continue to inspire us with the generosity of your heart. And the work you do is amazing. And thank you so much for all you do.
I'm inspired by this church and the radical activist work that we do. I want to talk about something else that we just joined. It's called Lasagna Love. And it is an online outfit. I'll get Dinah, you have your hand up. Hold on. It's some women in Vermont, young mothers who really like to cook, and they thought they'd set up a nationwide network of people that like to cook, that want to hook up with people that are in need of a meal. And we're going to start making lasagnas. And I already have a plan with our cook, who's named Luis Guzman. He's from El Salvador. We're going to start a chapter in East Boston. It's going to be called Pupusa Love. And it just so happens that we've been having a lot of pupusas. I'm going to invite Barry and Hillary to join us for pupusas afterwards. I found out there's a restaurant in Chelsea that makes pupusas for $1 a piece. If nobody knows, pupusa is El Salvador's national dish. And we can get a whole lot of pupusas here for really cheap and just have them in the fridge. You pop them in the toaster and you put coleslaw and tomato sauce on top of them, and they're really delicious. And maybe we can start sharing them other places too. Luis makes them as well sometimes. He doesn't like to. He says, no, that's just women that in El Salvador make pupusas. I make tamales. It's anyway, Dinah, join us. How are you, Dinah?
Okay, yeah. So I just wanted to, I noticed that in the chat, there's someone asking to hear more about John's organizing of prisoners. What happened over time for self-consumed people to learn about service to experience freedom? So yeah, if John could maybe talk a little bit more about his organizing efforts in jail.
Thank you, Dinah. Yeah, no, we have to speak very, very humbly about this. It's a gift. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes no matter how hard you try, you just can't form that sense of community. A lot of it in Danbury in 1970, 71, 72 had to do with Daniel and Philip Berrigan. These blinding sources of light and service, and just that taste, that palpable taste of authenticity, that there was no facades, that they were absolutely genuine and true priests. And a lot of it started with a great books class. I think all acts of revolution and moving toward the light, as the Quakers say, start with people sharing their lives, sharing stories and sharing their lives. And so these came out during discussions of the great books class. I think the prisoner managers soon learned it was a terrible mistake to allow Daniel and Philip Berrigan to gather inmates to talk about books. What can be more revolutionary? And then slowly out of that came the sense that what was important was looking out for each other more than simply getting on the other side of the wall. And that's a miracle. And it's a process that's indescribable, but you know it when it's happening, and it's a gift.
Thank you, Dinah. Where are you joining us from?
Oh, Somerville.
Oh, Somerville. That's the other side of the planet from here. Not really. I remember John in a town called El Higueral holding up a flag that, or an earth flag that had the planet and here's the planet. And he says, you all live here and we live there. And it's not very far away. In fact, we're neighbors and we better learn to what's involved in being neighbors, and we better start taking much better care of each other. Anybody else want to say hello?
Hello. Is that beyond Dedham? Is Somerville further away than Dedham? You don't get it. It was a joke years ago.
Thank you, Jim.
Beyond Dedham, huh? Jim joins us from, is it Dover, New Hampshire?
Rochester.
Rochester, New Hampshire. Yeah. All right, Jim. You rock. I got a bunch of stories to tell you about the building. Jim took care of this building for over 20 years and knows it in and out, every little thing about it. Let's see, is there anybody else wants to say hello?
May I say one more thing?
Sure, Jim, go ahead.
For many years, my partner, Marguerite Helen Hasbrook, and I did work at Norfolk Prison. And every Sunday we had a Quaker meeting. And it accomplished exactly the things that John said. Sometimes there was success, sometimes failure, and it was very, very warm. It's not happening right now because of COVID, but there are other people who are involved, and I'm sure they will be starting soon. That's at Norfolk Prison in Norfolk, Mass.
I will tell everybody that we have 10 members behind bars, and 2 of them recently were in touch with us, wanted us to help them file electronically for their stimulus check. And I was not able to do that. I just didn't feel comfortable with it, but sent them blank forms for them to file it. And I still do my taxes on paper. I hate to admit, but it's a tough time. We have had no visits to Norfolk Prison in a couple of years. Originally, it's because of all these new restrictions on visiting and all these. You have to be on their visitors list, and you have to get approved, and then you have to understand the dress code so you don't get kicked out, and that has happened to me before. And free the captives is what I say. Well, I think we're winding down to a beautiful end to this meeting.
Hi, Dean. Alan here.
Alan, hi, Alan.
Hi. Yeah, I had a couple of false attempts at unmuting.
Yes, you're with us. I hear you.
Yes. Hi, John. Thank you for your talk today. Really enjoyed it. A lot in there, very concise about a lot of issues. And near the beginning, you talked about like a type of modern or real world slavery or something like that. And there's a couple things I identified with just about that term and that concept. One is sort of how in the United States we think we're such a great country and we have so much and so on and so on. And for people that travel around the planet, particularly to like Europe or China or someplace like that, where they have a sort of a different approach to democratizing technology and often far fewer and far less expensive toll gates to things like the internet, for example. Just I'm using an example. We really live in a very oppressive culture and country here in ways that many people don't understand. That's my opinion. But anyway, so that's just one example of the slaveries that we live with. And I just wonder if you can talk for a few minutes about how you view that concept and just expound on those introductory comments of yours.
Wow. Yeah, it's almost the subject for another talk. But it
is.
Yeah, thank you, Alan. Let me say this, that what I know most about life, the important things about life, do not come from the tomes of philosophy or theology or sociology, all these abstract concepts and noble sentiments. No, what I know most about life, the important thing, comes from an 8-block Sunday morning cartoon of Bloom County, the great Burke Breathed. And the main character is this innocent little penguin. And he and his boy go out to the dandelion patch to do their heavy, heavy thinking. So for the first 7 blocks in the standard 8-block Sunday morning cartoon, the bubbles are coming out of their heads. And the bubbles say, the meaning of life, the meaning of life. And you get down to the 8th block and it says, to serve other people and to be well loved. I thought, there it is. That has nothing to do. I mean, I have an association with the local university that you might have heard of. And I tell students, write your own transcript, write your own report card. And I really hope it's not going to be what kind of salary you can demand or what kind of house you live in or car that you drive or trophy spouse or the number of suits or dresses in your closet. It's were you well loved and did you serve other people? And that's how you break the chains of slavery.
Oh, yeah.
Amen.
Oh, yeah. Preach it.
What do you think of my necktie, by by the way. It comes from the clothing room at the wait.
I see a girl named Catherine. Do you see me, Catherine? Hi. But your dad doesn't know how to unmute, so we can only enjoy your smile. That's Catherine. It's Rudiger's daughter. She's just so beautiful, so beautiful.
I want to give a shout out to my sister and brother-in-law in Grand Marais, Minnesota. Hi, Kathy and Russ. Thank you for joining us, and I hope I wasn't too boring. And thank you, Dean, for bringing our family together. Yeah.
Oh, anytime. You're welcome.
And Joan, I've also enjoyed your chats. Thank you for those contributions.
Joan Lives is her handle right now. We are family. Yeah, Joan. All right. So,
Marilyn, kisses to you too.
Good to see you guys.
Marilyn, you too. Great to see you, Marilyn. And let's say one more time, thank you so much to Joyce Katzberg. Joyce, are you still with us?
I am, and thank you for this invitation. I just it feels like home. Thank you.
Yeah.
Everybody be safe out there.
I hope in regular times we can get you to drive up from Providence and bring a few fellow activists, and we can have a Providence Sunday or something.
You never know. Miracles do happen, Dean.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Here's one final poem. Out beyond, this is Rumi, by the way. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. Yeah. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. Meeting at the building is almost over. Somebody wanted to say one last thing. Joyce?
I said it's a date.
It's a date. It's a date. I'll meet you there. It's a date. Oh, one last thing. John talked about water into wine. I heard somebody say, oh, that Jesus turned water into wine. He was my kind of guy, a party guy.
And good wine too, yeah.
Good wine, of
well,
course.
Hey, may I jump in here and actually sing you that Jimmy and the Preacher song? Because it'll be perfect right here.
Have at it, Joyce.
Have at it, all right.
That's the real way
the
to
song
end the song.
Like Donna Gibson, and I know you'll love it. Once I knew a preacher in a chapel wide and neat, and I asked him, can you pray as well in the alley or the street? And he told me, never venture into that den of sin, but if you close your door against the devil, then how can the Lord get in? How can the Lord get in? Tell me, how can the Lord get in? If you close your door against the devil, then how can the Lord get in? Well, he had it in for Jimmy. You know, Jimmy wasn't clean. No, Jimmy was a drinking man, but it never did make him mean. And when he sang to ease the pain, you know, it was a sacred thing. And if you close your ears to the sound of evil, you can't hear the angels sing. You can't hear the angels sing. No, you can't hear the angels sing. If you close your ears to the sound of evil, you can't hear the angels sing. Well, if you closed that church last Sunday, you'd have heard an awful din, 'cause that preacher, he was demanding that the Lord should come to him. But the preacher wasn't happy, 'cause the Savior wasn't in. No, the Lord was down at old Jack's bar singing harmony with Jim. Singing harmony with Jim. No, the good Lord wasn't in, 'cause the Lord was down at the corner bar singing harmony with Jim.
Joyce.
Pass the wine.
All right.
I love you guys and gals and everybody in between.
And all together we'll sing, Amen, Hallelujah, Amen,
Amen.
Amen, Amen, Amen.
Sing it louder.